Namaste. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. And Tonya, good to see you and Chips safely arrived. And Catherine. All right. So welcome to our youth song, Embodying Truth. And today we're going to start off with Satchagita. Well, there she is. Who's going to lead us in a exercise chant? I'm not really sure. So there you are.
Am I
front and
unmuted?
center? We can't hear you. We can't hear her. We're getting your sound up.
Okay.
There you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Namaste.
Namaste. You're live and well.
I am. Yes, I will start with just a very simple embodiment practice because we thought just talking about embodiment seemed a little pale. I wasn't prepared to do it at the beginning, but it will be perfect.
All right. So Sat Shree and I were having this little cross conversation. I thought you wanted to do it at the beginning.
Oh, it's perfect. Either way.
Okay.
Either way.
See?
So I just invite you all to close your eyes or keep them open if you want to. It's your choice. And inviting you to feel into the back side of your body. So your back, your seat, the back of your legs, feeling into being held and relaxing back. So relax all inclination to lean forward, to act, to do. Relax back and receive. And then bringing ourselves into our feet. And rather than looking at our feet through our awareness, explore the experience of you inside your feet, that quality of you, you-ness. And spreading roots, meeting all the other roots at the center of the earth. And then bringing that exploration of you inside your entire legs. Your seat, and bringing yourself into your belly, your lower belly. You might want to place a hand on your belly, taking a seat here. In this body, your entrance into this entire existence. Feeling the breath there. And then we bring ourselves to our head space. And if there is a lot of active energy here from our mind, then you might use your hands to place them on the crown of your head and simply gently allow them to bring the energy down the sides of your head, the sides of your throat, into your heart, this air element where there is endless space for this energy. And then bringing it even further down again to your belly, your lower belly. And if it's comfortable, you can place one hand on your lower back and one on your lower belly, depending on how you're sitting. Just holding this midpoint of your body, this place of transformation, union between the paradox of this creation, the Sat, the Asat, the individual, the universal. So again, just taking a seat here. And as we will come back and open our eyes, I invite you to stay inside your body still. Stay maybe with a hand on your belly. So even though we open our eyes and come back and continue with the satsang, just keep this presence inside your body. And with that, I will hand it over to Sat Shree and Satyamai.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, just notice your reactions and your experience, your sensations from doing that exercise. Stay with that for a bit, because it's pointing in the direction of what we're talking about today. Because how little do we actually embody? How little do we actually live inward versus outward? One of the ways that we embody truth is by living aware of both the body and the truth. See, it's self-evident. To whatever extent you've been able to access through this little exercise, that you have something to do with your body. This you that you are has certain powers in which can impact your body. And one of those powers is the power you just applied, the power of attention. When you put your attention to something, you give power to that. You bring it into existence for you. See, the word truth and the word reality are very related. What is real and what is true are simply two descriptors. The nature of what is real is really the question before us. And in that exploration, you sort out what you've been giving your attention to that may not be real, may not be valid. Now, how useful is this conversation? Well, at the level of consciousness, it's extremely useful. At the level of living your life, that's the question mark. And that's really what this whole meeting with you, the youth group, is how you can use living your life as an opportunity to become aware of the reality. No, what is this reality? If we weren't here, would there be a reality? What is creating the reality? Right now, listening to me, right now on this, your computer screen. What is creating this as the reality? How do you know it's real? Is it because your eyes? Because you're hearing this? Perhaps in some of your cases, there is a sense of transmission, a sense of energy. Any of those are variations of this one, what is true, what is real, what is embodied, what is not. You see, what defines or gives us the capacity to apply attention, what allows us to experience the life we're living, is this essential principle we're calling truth. But truth is really an unfolding of something that's already here, right? What do you find is true? You get rid of all that is not. And in the process, what's left over is true. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe the atheists have it right. Maybe it's just this now. Whatever is immediately available, you shed all belief system, you shed all projections of the future. You step out of our entanglement with the field that our body holds. We begin to perceive a different kind, through different kind of sense, a different kind of knowing. Something that's so simple and so immediate and so apparent is not obvious to us because we're swimming in the ocean of truth. The Gita says it. There is nothing else, nothing but truth. There is no such thing as untruth. So where's the problem? So what's the issue? Truth is already here. Issue is us. Issue is the story of us. The issue is the conditioning of the truth that we are, which has attention, but it also has the potential for this conversation, this inquiry, this exploration. This practice that we just did brought us into an entry point to understand that we can focus this attention in new ways, creative new ways, that brings more fully what it means to be truth embodied. Well, we're not here to find truth or to find embodiment. We're here to discover we already have it. It's already here. The only question is our relationship with that which is what we are already. Learning to discover the part of us that's still lost in the structures of embodiment, structures of having a body physically, with all its biochemical, all its bioelectrical, all its neurological, all its processes out of which comes everything we think is real. Our moods, our feelings, our thoughts, our beliefs, our opinions, our fears, our traumas. It's all here. If it wasn't for this, they wouldn't have a location. They wouldn't be in this dimension of space, time, duality, cause and effect. Without a body, you couldn't have this conversation. Without a body, you couldn't have a life to live. Without a body, you would not exist in this dimension. You would not be able to discover what you are because you become the ocean. Or you become some expanded version of yourself where there isn't this capacity to know your embodiment. So, being alive as a person, as a man or a woman, a young man or woman in the world, is a huge cacophony of impressions and events that are happening outward to you and outwardly in reaction to that. How do you sort out a body and a truth in the midst of that? What is needed? What empowers the ability of you as self-aware beings to apply your attention in such a way that you can be in your body and be in truth simultaneously? So the question is really an intent in this conversation. Is to open up this discovery in yourself. See, I know I've come to the place where I know that I create new realities. I am not the causal force for that, but I am the vehicle, the medium for that. So right now, as we talk, we together are creating a new possible paradigm, a new reality a way of holding, a way of understanding, a way of identifying experience, a way of discovering what it means to be truth embodied. So that opens something. I know it opens something. I know it'll go beyond this conversation. I know that many of you have come here in really one version of this same conversation or not, either with the right information or not, with the awakening experiences that you've had or not. You're here listening. You're here receiving and being invited to create, co-create this opportunity to discover this potential, this capacity we all have to create in our lives comes from the very principles we're talking from. What do we create? We create something that would be other than what our conditioning would automatically create. The truth of the matter is there is no world, no existence, no problem, no solution, no happiness, no sorrow, if there isn't a you. It is you who defines what's real. It's you who have the possibility of not only creating what's real for yourself, but for what's real for others, a possibility for a new reality for others. So we carry within us, in this exploration, a discovery of a power much greater than we can know through our human design, that can create ripples through the fabric of space-time and open up a possibility in the collective consciousness that currently is not there, currently is not so apparent, is currently not able to be expressed and recognized. So you are the truth. The part of you that can know anything is expression of truth itself. There takes a you and a knowing and a something. You are the only thing in creation that can do that beyond the most simple programming of biology that exists in all forms of life. But we have this unique condition, you could say. A unique possibility of becoming aware of ourselves alive. To have a choice when life comes up. Not always, but at least even in the programming of our preferences or our fears and our attractions and our desires and our hopes, we are choosing. There is this sense of me choosing. You chose to come here. Actually, in truth, something chose you. Be it your conditioning, be it your longing or aspiration, or being what I'm going to be pointing to ultimately is that something else is living all of us, of which we are simply drops of an ocean of. Because it's when we become attuned to the fact that we're more than we seem. That we carry within us an inherent possibility by our very existence for that which is beyond us to manifest itself through us. Now, in fact, that's a message of great hope, great possibility for you as young people in the world, because it lets you know you're unbounded. It lets you know that you are not limited by what other people are doing or thinking. You are not defined by the outer world as much as you thought you were. At least you have the ability, the potential, the possibility of coming into the world as an original being, as something with its own genius, with its own unique expression, beyond just what the conditioning would have you be. To be more than you could be otherwise. A discovery of a resource that's in your body that can be awakened when we attend to it. We can discover this capacity of experiencing reality, truth, as a body, not just as consciousness, not just as awareness, not just as the personality, but to discover the possibilities inherent with a body that joins with truth. We have a synergy that the Bhagavad Gita has been speaking about, that the Mother Book has been speaking about, to bring truth into first ourselves, our bodies, our lives, the world. It's very plain, it's very simple to me now that this is what you carry. This is what you are. You are a possibility for a new and a unique expression inherent in the potentiality of existence to manifest its own unique expression of that reality in such a way that it creates an opening for the possibility of the collective evolution. It opens up a doorway to come into relationship with existence other than what's been possible for mankind up until now. We begin to pop open possibilities that allow for new realities to join in with this existing paradigm. And in the process, begin to transform the existing paradigm into something that can align with this new reality. So if there's anything to get from one who's come to it, is that you have this tremendous possibility inherent within you. It is the most positive, the most true, and possibly the most effective way to embody and live. When you align yourself with the unique and inherent possibility in your outer life, when you begin to take actions, begin to speak, begin to act, begin to not act in some areas which are still keeping the limited possibility you carry limited, but begin to discover and risk and step out of the boundaries of what that conditioning defines, you begin to discover this in your own experience. You begin to discover that actually, as a human being in a body, you can begin to affect change in your world that gives space for that unique potential to express itself. And it's always going to start out as a possibility. But if you don't take any action, there is no possibility. It's just an idea. It's oh, I'd like to do that. Or, oh, that sounds like a good idea. It's like, I wish I could do that. That's all in the rumination. It has little power unless it can be embodied. And what do we mean? It means you start speaking it. You start sharing a possibility with other people. You start, in the process, enriching that possibility for you through speaking it, through acting on it. And in the process, you make it more real, more true, more possible. And in the action, we then create a shifting in the innate structure of how we react, or how we project, or how we wish or fear. We begin to discover this innate quality of our embodiment that is either aligned or not aligned with the unfolding of that possibility. So these are universal truths. It's part of the power of what you are as truth. This is available to you as a potential with or without a body, by the way. But its manifestation in a body makes it a powerful means by which that which lives you can come into existence through you, as you, in that paradox, seeming paradox. Now, when you awaken, something magical happens. You tap into this quality we're right now calling truth. You begin to discover in either your awareness or experience, but remember, even in your awareness, there's experience. If it's in your experience, there is also an awareness. These are all concurrently occurring. Sometimes the glimpse that you get with your awakening seems to be entirely in your conscious awareness. And other times it's this sense in your body, a vibrational, an expansion, a thrill, a coming alive, coming into existence in a way you're not familiar with. They're both interrelated. One feeds the other when we're in our bodies. And this is your dilemma. The dilemma of not only your generation, but previous generations, but even more so as the generations have come subsequently, because the material world is not as demanding. We can live in an awareness. We can live in a bubble of knowing and not even know we have a body, not even begin to discover the magic and the mystery. When the depths of our consciousness can get focused and organized enough to enter into the vehicle that our awareness is inhabiting. I mean, it's just like a car without a motor. You're just a shell waiting to live when you live in your awareness. You're living in your approximation of living. You're living in your ideas. You're living with your stories, your past and possible futures, or feared futures, or traumatized pasts. But you're not living. The cost of not embodying is the cost of a lived life. The cost of not taking your awakening and recognizing that its purpose is to give you a place to stand other than the conditioned self that you awakened from. To empower you to be able to choose differently, to see differently, to shift the way you've been looking, to change the lens and see without the veils of your mind, the veils of your past, what existence is capable of. Learning to develop the ability to go beyond our fear, our contraction, our diminishment, our self-absorption, our egocentric absorption in all the wrongs that have happened to you, and all the wrongs that are out there, and all the wrong that your ruminations create. Because you see, it's only in the disembodied condition that we suffer. In the embodied condition, it becomes just an experience. It becomes a sensation. It becomes an energy. It becomes a contraction or a blockage, an uneasy feeling, a disease. But it doesn't have a story. It doesn't have this death sentence that comes in the mind that imagines it could die. So when we begin to experience things in our body, they become more simple. It's not about your heartache. It's not about your relationship with your parents. It's not about your relationship and your needs and your wants and your betrayals with others. It's an experience. It's a sensation. It's something that's occurring within the field of your physical embodiment. And in that simplicity, the development of your consciousness comes out of its infinite possibility as awareness and begins to become focused into your embodiment, in your life, into the structures that are occurring and the reactions that are occurring and the opportunities that are unfolding for you as a person in your body. You got to get it. If you're not in this body, you're not living. You're living a partial life. Yeah, you eat, you do all the things at the superficial level, but you're not bringing forward the opportunity of your birth. And certainly you're not bringing forward the opportunity of your awakening. See, when we awaken, we actually can it itself creates a new paradigm. even if you're in the midst of something you can't imagine and it doesn't seem you created it. But it opens up a doorway of a possibility. It carries with it a call, an invitation to make it real in your lived life. If what you've awakened to is supported in your actions, if you continue the practices that support the awakening, then the awakening, instead of always going and you have to wait and wait and wait till it shows up again, you create a willingness or a listening for it, which it hears, if there's such a thing. An awakening can hear us because what we're awakening to is actually a being, the one being of which we're all expressions of. So when we begin to attend to our awakening, we begin to start making real that which we've awakened to. And when we do it in our day-to-day life, in the 24 hours minus the number of hours we sleep, 6 to 12, whatever you are, you have a period of time. What percentage of that time are you focused on what you've awakened to, and what percentage of that time are you being run by the conditioning or by the demands and the immediacies of your day-to-day? How can you bring your awakening into your unawakened self without your body, without knowing your body? You can't. Because the habit is so outward oriented and inward reactive oriented. Is it safe? Did I say that right? Do they like me? Did I, all those other things. We have no choice in that machinery that goes out and in and out and in and out. And yes, it's stored in the body, but the body isn't the problem. The body is just a simple donkey that carries our consciousness, walking through life or running through life. Maybe not all donkeys. Some of us are doggies, right? The one that runs around Tonya's screen. They're not in charge. They're just dancing as an expression of nature without any self-awareness of that it could be different. They don't have the possibility of choice. They don't have a sense of self that allows us to become aware of how programmed we are and then begin to discover that we have a choice to not let that programming determine our thoughts, our actions, our beliefs, our ideas of what's possible for us. And where is the field? Where is the arena by which truth can embody? It's your life right now. Yeah, the Gita takes us into a story, a mythological story that points to the same thing, but really it's all about Arjuna getting real. And your life is all about you getting real, becoming true. And it's a becoming. You're not going to be true at first. You're going to be whatever is still shaping your ability to be true, limiting it, defining it, creating the conditions needed for it so it's safe or comfortable or feels good, doesn't feel bad. So the waking up carries with it a responsibility, a ability to respond responsibility, not a burden, work at, endure calmly responsibility, but ability to know there's something there, both for the truth and also for the apparent untruth. And I say clearly apparent untruth. Because at some point, truth recognizes that everything is only showing in the reality field of your own self-aware embodiment. So how do you live? I mean, this is the question. This is of the four questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? How do I live? This is really the way to convert this conversation. And I point to triggers for this, the means of this, the technologies of this, techniques for this, in all the work we do. But it really gets down to you living the remainder of your 24-hour day with a greater percentage of your attention to your awakened self in its body than in the usual habitual structures of your outer life. If in the, let's say, 16 remaining hours of your day, half of the time is in some way linked to your awakened self, and the other half is linked to your programmed conditioned self that automatically does what it does, then this quality of your awakening grows in its authority, grows in its capacity to manifest itself, grows in its strength to reveal the fundamental principles of what you are as truth, but also the fundamental structures that are still inherent in you, you were not aware of, you didn't know, or you thought you know, but you didn't. And that expanding opens up, starts shifting automatically what you do with the other half or less than half part of your life, how you show up at work, how you show up in your relationships with the people around you, how you show up with your idea of the world and what your role is and your beliefs and your ideas. It starts shifting. And in this process, the body starts catching up with you. When you take repetitive actions every day, that's are greater that support your awareness and lesser that support your unconscious automatic self, then even the unconscious automatic self starts awakening in your lived life. So what does that mean? Now, you can't spend 8 hours a day chanting or meditating or reading spiritual books. You can try. It works. It helps. It lifts it up. It lifts up your awareness, your awakened self. But if you're not putting it into application, if you're not putting it into your life for the rest of the time, if you're just living in the woods, you're just hiding out in the spiritual study, you're not integrating it. You're not living it in the area that matters, which is your embodiment. The body is the means for anything that is true to manifest. If you don't have a body, you're like a flute player without a flute. You are not able to come into existence except as the shell of the possibility of a flute. You lose your sense of purpose. You lose your sense of direction. You don't know what's right or what's wrong, what's good or what's not. And we drift in the current of the rest of the conditioning that's living us and everyone else. Going this way, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes nothing. So when we learn to apply effort to organize our lives aligned with our awakened self, we also begin to discover that our life is changing. But it only happens if we take that awareness and inject it into each moment of our day to day to varying extents. So one technique that's very simple, that's an entry point, is that you enter the day with an intent to have 60% of your time inward, attending to your body, not your mind, not your emotional reaction, not your story, but inward into that awakened quality that lives within you, within your body. The more you can include at least the body part of the world that you're in, the more the body becomes the instrument of your awakening. It becomes the vehicle through which your awakening can sing its song. And in the process, you start tapping into the song singer, that which is the breath that blows all the notes of all songs. You tapped into that fundamental principle. in the process of making it part of our lived life, it becomes available to us. It becomes clearer for us. We become more capable. We become more surrendered, less resisting, less controlling, less trying to make it our way, but rather to discover what it wants of us. We learn to align our consciousness with something greater than us. And this transformational process that occurs as the body starts catching up with us crosses that threshold. And we go beyond ourselves as an individual trying to wake up and become enlivened. And we become a means by which the universe can fulfill its purpose in our lives, in our time, in this domain and peril that we live in the midst of. Okay. That's just an opening point. I mean, this is a conversation I can talk on until I run out of breath. But the principle is, how do you make this real for yourself? How do you bring it into your life so you can recognize who's running the show? Is it your awakened self, or is it your conditioned self? The way you can begin to sort out those two is when you can live in the body sufficiently that you can experience the thought in your body. You can feel the negative thought. You can feel the positive thought. You can feel the neutral thought. It becomes attuned. It becomes a sensing instrument that gives you information about what is working and what's not. It becomes your compass. It becomes your true north. It becomes showing you the very thing that perhaps you've been running away from and not wanting to experience that needs to be met in order for this possibility you carry to come into reality for you. If it comes into reality for others, is secondary. You can be a bookkeeper. You can be, a clerk in a store. You could be a pot washer in some restaurant, trying not to get COVID-19. You could be any of these simple things in life and be able to be an instrument. But each of us have our own particular expression that we actually have to live in order to find the unique opportunity our existence is. I started my life as a dishwasher. I got my first job at 16, washing dishes. Then I went and ran away from home, and I picked up a job in a bakery, working the midnight shift, flipping donuts and making eclairs and all the other stuff, sleeping on the beach during the day. There was this evolving process. And I got to tell you, I was happy washing dishes. I was happy flipping donuts. I was not in a place where there was a goal, but I was where I was. And eventually, the world gave me an opportunity. My wife had become pregnant. We had a child. I had to do something. She got welfare, and that time welfare had a education component. So I got free education. I went to local junior college. At the time, I wanted to be an art major. That was my passion. I had found my passion. Previous time was preparing me to appreciate the passion when it came. Sat Shree. So there is an evolving, unfolding through our lived life, where we start from where we are, and we begin to take actions aligned with that opportunity to allow that to be enough, to grow into that, to allow that to sink in, and then life will show you the next step. Okay, I'm being told to go back.
Yeah. Well, all right. Now
That's
we're
like restraining the tide.
I know. So now we're gonna bring up the core team. We'll get a chance to speak, and then we're going to open it up to the rest of you. So can you bring them all on? Start with, okay. So we'll start with Satyagita, and then we'll just go from there.
Hello again.
Hello again. Hello, everyone. I feel a little blown out. It's like you spoke every word to me. I mean, it's totally my life. And I know many others have the same experience when I meet people who are like in this generation. I also got in touch with this grief of the like not having fully embodied. And for me, when I live I also really liked how you spoke about embodying true life. Like we can talk about embodiment practices, but for me, I find that it's really true living my everyday life that I am embodying. And it's more and more like I'm coming in touch with this so immature part. Like I feel like a child when I go through this process. And it's like I'm having my higher self, which is also there and so knows like why I'm here. And then there is this human who is learning to walk, basically. And it's fine.
Parts.
It's fine. Like it's fine. But
at least you're learning there's immature parts.
Yeah. And I guess when it comes to embodiment, one other thing I'd say is when I met Sat Shree and Satyamai, it was so clear that it's my body who is leading this process. Like it's like learning to walk or learning to talk. It knows how to go through this transformation. Like it's in the DNA. So that it's also a matter of relaxing and allowing that to happen. Keeping it very, very simple.
Very good.
Yeah, and I feel I will hand over to someone else because we are 5 in the panel and we said we'll keep it short because I feel really the main thing with this satsangs is also to have a lot of time for everyone to come forward because it's like we create this and we all learn from each other.
Okay, who's up next?
Susanna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Susanna. Hello.
Hey, Susanna.
Hey, Susanna.
Satyagita, thank you for mentioning the feeling like a small child, because that is also my experience, like doing certain things for the first time, even though I've done them like 1,000 times before. And that is exactly what it brings me to this very, very humble place, because I'm realizing more and more, like I always thought that embodiment was bringing the awareness down into my body. But for me, actually, the experience is that when my body is coming into existence and learning things, it is actually giving a whole new meaning to the awareness instead of the other way around. So basically a lot of the times lately, I feel like I don't know jack shit.
Yay.
And like everything's new. And this whole embodying also, to me, it's like holding chaos, embodying chaos, learning to be with that. And there is this one thing that you said in the satsang, holding chaos, Sat Shree, that really stuck with me, and that is that our unlimited consciousness get bound in the body, and it makes it humble. And this getting humbled is realizing how vulnerable we are, is how the universe learns to come into existence. And that is exactly my experience, like this smallness, this little kid that is doing everything for the first time. It's just so tender. And again, I'm gonna say it again, and this is, to me, this feels like a demonstration of embodiment, because every time I speak it in front of a group, I can feel it more and I can be more firm in it. That what helps me most in that little girl doing things for the first time is to feel safe, and not in a way of waiting for me to feel safe enough that I can do it. No, I actually try to look for things. Okay, what would I need to make me feel more safe so that I can actually do this thing that I am now not daring to do, or that I now feel incapable of doing. And this process is very rewarding. So I thought I'd bring that forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Amit.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Amit,
Shree,
good to
Satsang.
see you.
Same here. Namaste to everybody who has joined in. Yeah, so it's like basically everything what Sat Shree said. And the main challenge is how to make it yours. Before it's just, for me, it was just following blindly what he was saying and just having faith in that. But what changed, when it changed was when I came in touch with the part in me that is always in meditation. That always meditates and what lives me. And that's when it became real for me. Because before, when I used to get information from the awareness, it was not mine. It was just like accessing Google and just finding out stuff. But yeah, the main shift happened when it became mine. Then it was what I do, what I don't do became organic. It was not coming from the mind as much. It was just feeling into that part of me. And it's so clear that silence and stillness is what nourishes it. So yeah, it becomes easy. And the main thing is to integrate the human more and more. Because with trauma, the disparity between the higher self and the lower, the traumatic part is like big. And initially when it was showing up, it became very disturbing. Like, what is this? It felt like I was holding insanity inside of me. But over time, the capacity to, like, insanity also becomes play. So yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
All right. Next up is Adi Deva.
Hari Deva.
Hey.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. My body is quiet. And I am simply just in beyond awe, beyond any kind of mental concept that I can produce. This body is it's just fucking amazing. What it does, how I live. I don't even want to, move into this conceptualizing the difference between what I am and what the body is. It's like I want to know what all of life from the vantage point of just living me. And this thing, these things. And so the first thing that came to me when I felt into this topic was just the longing to feel alive and the longing to feel simply. From having arrived somehow into the adolescent or young adult body of being feeling numb and cut off from life, or with a lot of difficulties in my experience. Learning to be with that in my body, it was like I felt like the true adventure, you know. It's like that is adventurous truly to me. The first time I experienced learning through, then it was a method of something called focusing, a psychotherapeutic method of learning how to be with a negative emotion in a embodied experience, and feeling that anxiety, you know, being, as I was attending to it, just evaporate and turning into freedom and spaciousness and lightness and just that being possible. What an amazing thing. And then, you know, 200,000 such processes later or something, but and the both the enduring and the enjoying, being this body.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Tonya.
Hi, everybody.
Namaste. And I see cat in the background. We've been watching dog in the foreground, but
Yeah, so this is a really interesting conversation to me because I feel like a whole different layer of this has opened up for me in the last couple of months. And so this conversation about a possibility that feels like it lives in space is something that really dropped in for me in the end of July, like recognizing a possibility for existence that was beyond like limitation and constraints and conditioning that I had experienced up until that point. And like the vulnerability of seeing that, like I loved that conversation about the childlikeness, because there's really there didn't feel like there was a knowing of how to do that. Like, how do I feel that possibility and then bring it here? Like there felt like a disconnect. And for me in the beginning of this process, it was like something that I would only share with like people that I trusted the most. Like, there's this idea and there's this like feeling and there's this like new experience, but I'm too scared. I don't feel safe to like share it, because what if it's not received? What if it's shot down? What if I'm judged? Like all of, you know, those older conditionings that would have us keep ourselves small and not really step into the fullness of the possibility. And so I would just tell like one person or two people and like kind of like talk about it. And it was felt really vulnerable to even share that, wow, I think that this is the possibility. But as I just talked about it, it became a level more real. Like it didn't exist only in the possibility of my vision internally. It became a conversation. And as that conversation developed, so did the willingness to take the next step into, okay, now I'm going to have the conversation with a different layer of people, friends and family that aren't as deeply connected and supportive of me, but who, you know, I don't know what they're going to say. Step into that realm, step into further realms, and just like keep talking about it. And then making plans to, okay, well, how can I, live this more fully, because I just recognize that like truth, like my truth is only real as much as I live it. And so taking that step to first talk about it, then act on it, then create something that can hold it, a container where the possibility becomes more. And as I'm seeing it, it's just crystallizing. Like over the last few months, I'm just feeling a possibility and a reality crystallizing and creating a new realm, creating something that I didn't even know was possible, but where before the constructs had been maybe just like an energetic sensing of the psychic, now they're becoming more solid, where there's financial pieces involved, where there's other people who are invested, where there's things that are coming together to create that reality as more than something that's just in the awareness. And it's just like every step that I take that just continues to be in alignment with that is that like vulnerable child, like learning how to walk, because I have no fucking clue how to do any of it. But it's just like a trusting in the gnosis that what else can I live for if not creating my truth in the world, and having that be refined by the world as it's kind of sharpened by the edges of lived reality. And so I just am living that and feeling that come into action, and it's really remarkable because it's creating kind of a reality and a paradigm far, far beyond anything I ever thought was possible, far, far beyond anything that I could even have begun to perceive in the beginning stages. And it just keeps growing and blossoming. So the dog is freaking out. So that's all.
Yeah.
Sharpening the reality of
Okay,
the
the
universe.
boundaries of the flowing river.
Next up is Susanna.
Susanna again.
Yes, I'm conscious of taking up space, but I wanna make it short. But I did feel like when we're speaking of embodiment, I cannot not talk about this, because a big part of my process actually has been very bodily, and it has been very painful, and it has been learning to sort of let it do its thing, and with all sorts of kriyas and muscle cramps and screams, and it's something that I find, I mean, I don't see it often on screen. We've seen Russell give birth to something, and I mean, in retreat sometimes it happens, but it's for me it's a big part of the process, and it can be pretty intense and weird. And well, I just wanted to bring that forward.
Good. It's good. Yeah, I mean, that's the lessons of those of you who have been with me for a while can share with those who are still discovering the territory of the unmet, unlived parts. So perfect. The body is the most effective means of holding these without going into story or getting overtaken emotionally, but converting it into an event that's occurring in the sensation and the energy and the structures of your body. All right, very good. Thank you, Susanna.
Thanks, Susanna.
Thank you.
So I'd like to step back from the leading role. So Satyagita, would you start taking over the kind of the boundary setter, or the stepping in and to supporting people in terms of what may need to be said? Okay. All right, very good.
Okay. Next up is Maktel.
What's that?
Maktel.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Yes, I guess what I wanted to bring forward was shame. Shame of the little girl inside of me. Shame of when I was feeling those emotions, or was somehow judging myself for having those emotions, or feeling so small, or thinking I should be elsewhere. And but when you go beyond that and you embrace the little child inside of you, it becomes the most wonderful gift, because every time I do so, it heals. And I guess I wanted to bring that part forward, as can be such an obstruction if you feel that it should be differently, or you should be somewhere else than where you are at that moment. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
I mean, Maktal, I love you dearly, and I so relate to what you said, and I think Susanna brought it forward as well. This like learning to enjoy this vulnerability. And the little girl, I mean, when Sat Shree said, Satyajita, can you take over? I'm like, what? Like, there's no, not me. Like, is this safe even? And then like feeling all that, and also at the same time just so enjoying being here with you and having the opportunity. So yeah, thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
Satyajita.
Okay, so next up is Lilia.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you. What I'd like to speak to is the grief of not being embodied. Sat Shree, when you were speaking about that, and Tonya, when you said, my truth is only as real as I can live it. It's like, yeah. And it feels like that's exactly what exactly what I went through over the summer, and am now in the action portion of it where, well, now I realized how unembodied I was with this particular situation, and now I know what I need to do to be embodied, and that entails talking to other people. In this particular situation, it was a project that my company took on that nobody in the firm agreed with or wanted to work with. And yet we did it anyway. And it went against everything that I felt the company stood for. And tomorrow, I'm taking the action of holding my bosses accountable for it in order to, wow, I'm terrified, in order to let them know that I'm watching, and then that they can't happen again. So yeah, embodying truth and living it is, I can feel it in my body right now. It's absolutely terrifying. And yet it's, there's no other option. Yeah.
Thank you, Lilia. And like, once again, such a total relate to what you said. And I also, when I shared in my first sharing, also this grief of not having fully embodied, and also what Tonya said about, like, the only truth is what we're living. Like, you named it so perfectly. It's just like, this is the process, like one step at a time, and we do it together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Nick.
Oh, namaste, Nick. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I felt like sharing a couple of things. I'm firstly feeling super thankful for this community. As the weeks go on, more peculiar stuff keeps happening, but it feels so nice and to be able to listen and share. Over the past 2 weeks, more or less every time I meditate or practice yoga or breath work, I fall into like really loud screaming and I'm not really concerned about it, maybe the noise sometimes, but there is a part of me that does question whether because it now seems to be happening so regularly that it's become a habit as opposed to a release. And I'm feeling that it's a release, but there is still that question in my mind, like, is this now just a thing that I do when I'm in yoga or meditation? I have this big feeling, like different sounds, but very high pitched or low pitched, I guess the word would be tones, that are coming out. And it's a little bit of uncertainty with whether it's become a habit or it is actually energy that is feeling its way out of the body. And then the other thing that's connected, I guess, is this feeling of a little bit of fear, because I felt some really profound embodiment moments over the past month or so. And then this fear of falling out of embodiment and going back into awareness and not connecting to the body with certain decisions and reflecting on habits that have taken place without the body being in place. And that's been a bit of a theme for the last couple of weeks, and I'm grappling a little bit with that. That's my share. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. We haven't met. Nice to meet you. I just have a feeling that Susanna could speak to this. I don't know if she wants to, but I could just...
She's laughing.
Well, I can relate, that's for sure. But to be honest, for me, I really
Huh, you did it.
I value the sensitivity of what you're asking, because that's actually something I'm trying to figure out myself as well. And one thing that did stick with me, that Sat Shree gave me as a piece of advice one time, is how does it feel after? Like, is there peace and calmness, or is there still anything going on? And that's what I try to tune into. And also for me, when like primal screams come, I feel like they're screaming me. It's not me. I'm not the one that is making the sound. They're just coming out of me, and I'm surprised that the loudness or the tone, height or low of it. Okay. So that would be what I can share, and otherwise, yeah, just it's an exploration, I think. But yeah, I appreciate your question.
Thank you. That's perfect.
So I see there are no more hands. I guess there will be time for another share. So if someone wants to speak and hasn't already, yeah, there is Gabriel and Caroline.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, Caroline, Gabriel.
So something that came to me during this satsang was that I think that I experienced that sacrifice to me is something that is very much connected to embodiment or coming more into life. Because my habit previously has been to avoid life and to be somewhere else and choosing not to be there, and that's my habit. So in order to come more into life, I have to sacrifice the need of bypassing or avoiding things. So like putting myself out there, coming more into things. it can be emotions, it can be situations, it could be anything, high and low. And so just the word of sacrifice came up to me. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also came to think about the word surrender in action, like using surrender as a way to be able to go into new challenges and to expand. It's not surrender to become passive, it's surrender to be able to actually come into life. I don't know, Caroline, if you're joining the Mother Book program.
I will, yes.
Yeah, nice. Very good.
Yes. 60 of you, yes.
Okay, I guess we have 9 minutes left, so still, if someone else would like to share, there is a little more time. And then I guess we'll have 5 minutes at the end. Final call. I'm brave.
That's great.
There, Maggie.
Maggie, yay. Namaste. She's in Hawaii.
Great to see you.
Yeah.
I don't know what my question is specifically, but it's very much a part of what's happening in the Gita course, and the last satsang and the handout about the Asheric forces and the divine and undivine. And, you know, I'm having a lot of new insight into the empathic nature. And yes, I have lived in this awareness, and yet I have also been hugely impacted by this in my body, and yet it's been so sort of negative, quote unquote, that I didn't understand that, in fact, yes, I've had these huge experiential processes in my body, and that my awareness and my physical experience is actually very much coinciding. They just have felt separate through my perception and a lack of understanding and programming. So I guess I'm curious, because I've physically experienced so much impact from these Asheric or quote unquote dark forces, in a way that's guided my embodiment through fear and repulsion and this, battle or bewilderment going on. And there's, I have felt these forces that really are trying to usurp and overtake. And even if they're ignorant and tamasic and sometimes highly intelligent, and yeah, I've been just trying to put that aside and practice taking action aligned with truth and realizing this is just the other end of the spectrum that's so vast I didn't even see that they were in relationship. But that's through my perception and understanding and knowledge and intellect. So I actually do spend quite a bit of my daily time interacting with this, these opposing forces, either neglected, hungry, needy energies, or these forces that are really trying to work themselves out. And yeah, so what do I do with the body in terms of this huge battle, or because all of this is happening while I'm being transformed and transmuted, so it's not exactly like a normal sensation where I can rest and sit in this foundation of stability and then interact with these dark forces. This is like inside out, upside down, you know, completely you know, it's like DNA all the way to energy body, back to organ, meat, and then, I mean, it's just huge. I just don't know how, you know, and I know, of course, I have all these insights and ideas, but in terms of embodiment on a daily basis, with this darkness, you know, with the untruth.
Got it. Can you give her any direction? So Satyagita, I think I'll speak to this. Just so you know, Maggie, you are already a demonstration of what it is we're speaking of. But there is a trauma, there's a structure that's in the process of losing its authority. And you are in the fullness of the realization, but because of the early life trauma, that it's like the thing that's separating you from the full embodiment that you have, as well as the full awareness that you have. And that's preventing you from crossing a territory to the absolute, that which is beyond life, that which is eternally here. So your doorway is to continue to find that's your stability, the authority that you are. So my advice to you just right now is that when you begin to participate with what you are with other people, this access to this greater authority that's behind all of this is going to be more and more apparent. So Hawaii is not giving you an arena in which you can manifest what you've come. So you do need to set up a structure like Tonya did, where you can come forward perhaps with some other people to explore this and have this conversation, because it's a wonderful capacity you have. It's just all turning inward because of the trauma. And it's that trauma. So that piece in there is right next to your non-existence. And you're getting familiar with the Terry, but it hasn't yet been familiar enough that you can allow it. But when you're with me or when you're engaged with these people, it will be more available to you. So you did perfect. The part of you that wants to go into the trauma around it is simply a reflection of the trauma, not the truth of what you just shared. It's a wonder as I listen to you share. I'm like, yay. But for you, it's still not yours because of this one little structure that remains. So it's unique in your case. That's my suggestion. And you'll see. Keep participating. It will come.
We'll see you soon at Washoe.
Yay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, so
We're done.
We tapped into a little deeper vein there, but we want to be able to hold this as an opportunity for all of you to be informed, because if you look at what happened here, everybody was teaching. Everybody was sharing their experience. There was less questioning and more sharing. in terms of where I am and what's happening and what is my struggle here. This is how you enrich each other. So the continuation of the youth program is really with each other and in the unfolding and being able to discover for yourself in your own reality. What is that unfolding reality in the other? And in that recognition, you empower your own. All right. Well, that said, I want to thank Sachagita and the whole core team of the youth group for all you have done. But now we'll finish with taking just 5 minutes. We'll run a little over just to sit in the energy and the opportunity that this possibility is manifesting. And of course, be aware of your body. While you sit there, pay attention, include it, don't leave it behind, don't go to Never Never Land. Stay here with yourself in your body, as a body. Let us begin. Hari Om Dhat Sat. Hari Om Dhat Sat. Hari Om Dhat Sat Shree. All glory to Supreme. May truth manifest. Namaste. Thank you all.